You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Max Darrow. Here's a look at our news headlines. Sheriff's deputies in Sonoma County are trying to track down a murder suspect. They're looking for 56-year-old Lawrence Cassidy of Cloverdale. He's considered to be armed and dangerous. This comes after a homicide yesterday on Cloverdale Heights Way shortly before 5 o'clock p.m. Anyone with information about Cassidy's whereabouts should call 911. The search continues for a 30-year-old man's body after powerful waves swept him out to sea off the coast of Big Sur. 2 women were also pulled into the rough surf, but they were able to make it back to shore alive. This happened yesterday afternoon around 3 o'clock at Soberanis Point in Garapata State Park. That's about 3 miles from where a father and his 7-year-old daughter were killed after being swept into the surf a week earlier. Gotham FC made soccer history at the NWSL Championship in San Jose, defeating the Washington Spirit. Rose Lavelle scored in the 80th minute to lift her team to a 1-0 championship victory. They're now the first number 8 seed to win the title. Fans packed PayPal Park, excited to see a dramatic moment in women's professional sports. Now it's time for a check on our first alert forecast with meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
Happy Sunday. I would call it a Sunday fun day because you should be able to get out and about without having to worry about too many weather issues. After some thick, dense fog from early this morning, that fog quickly clearing by the afternoon hours. There is a frontal boundary, a very weak frontal boundary, albeit, but it's still something that's going to bring upper level cloud coverage across the Bay Area throughout the afternoon hours. So yes, there is going to be some passing clouds out there once the fog lifts. But overall, temperatures are only going to be maybe a degree or 2 cooler today compared to what we felt yesterday. Those highs going from the upper 60s across our North Bay to low 60s to upper 50s across our North Bay, coastal communities, and inland East Bay. So yes, it is definitely going to be chillier out there. And it's really interesting to notice that area in blue farther inland, that is where the fog is going to take a little bit longer to dissipate. And by tomorrow, you'll also notice those high temperatures, inland areas with that thicker fog are going to be significantly cooler. So it's really interesting, again, the impact of the fog on those temperatures, keeping inland areas slightly cooler, but still going to stay in the low 60s through tomorrow, then the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Basically, every single day of this upcoming week, we're going to be seeing these temperatures sitting in the mid to lower 60s to upper 50s all across the Bay Area. Not too many changes on the way when it comes to those temperatures, and not too many changes on the way when it comes to the chance of rain. There's little to nothing over at least the next 6 to 10 days. Just something to keep your eyes on. If you've been enjoying the rain, there's not all too much more heading our way. It's been well above average, though, to kick off the month of November. Over 2.5 inches in downtown San Francisco. That is nearly an inch above normal for this time of year. Now, this is San Jose, where you've seen over 2 inches. That puts you over an inch above normal and your 7th rainiest November so far on record. So yes, it has been a very active and a wet start to the month. At the end of the month, it's likely going to be a lot drier and a bit cooler. Those highs, like I've been saying, going to be staying at or below average for at least the next 7 days. So if you have any outdoor plans for this Thanksgiving, just grab a jacket, but you don't have to grab that umbrella, which is really, really nice. Again, for this time of year, Thanksgiving is when a lot of people are out and about, whether you're flying, you're driving. Weather shouldn't be an issue unless you're leaving very early in the morning, because as we've been dealing with the past several days, the Thule fog and the marine layer that's swirling in, we are still going to be seeing that waking up. That should lift. You'll be seeing some passing clouds out there. Those temperatures staying seasonable through the midweek. Again, really, really nice weather. I really don't think we can ask for much better for this time of year. I hope you can all get out and enjoy yourselves before, I'm sure, our next atmospheric river is just around the corner.
This week, a new candidate joined the race to replace former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Richmond District Supervisor Connie Chan has officially thrown her hat in the ring. Chan immigrated from Hong Kong as a teenager. She grew up in San Francisco's public schools and later went on to win her seat of the Board of Supervisors. Although she has never held statewide office before, Chan believes she is the best fit for San Francisco in D.C.
Instead of dividing our community and sort of get stuck in this space, I bring stakeholders together. We are going to talk about important issues that actually impact everyday people.
And joins 2 other Democrats in the race, State Senator Scott Wiener and Shoykat Chakrabarti, the former chief of staff to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. East Bay Congressman Eric Swalwell is the latest to announce that he is running for California governor. He joins an already very crowded field of candidates hoping to replace Governor Gavin Newsom when his term ends in 2027. Brad Hamilton heard from the new candidate as well as from people he currently represents.
So I came here tonight, Jimmy, to tell you and your audience that I'm running to be the next governor of California.
Eric Swalwell has officially joined the crowded race to lead the Golden State. The East Bay congressman, who's been a leading critic of President Trump, chose the national stage to announce his run. An interview with late-night host Jimmy Kimmel, who's also been in the crosshairs of the Trump administration. On his first full day as a candidate, Swalwell was in campaign mode. After a visit to discuss wildfire prevention in Southern California, he held a virtual press conference Friday evening to discuss his decision.
Where our state is under attack, where immigrants are being chased by ICE agents and troops are in the streets and cancer research funding is being taken, I will be a fighter and protector for our immigrant community, but also recognize that we can't count on the federal government to fund the priorities of our state. Clean energy, cancer research funding is two examples, port funding that we've lost at Long Beach and Oakland and Los Angeles.
Swalwell, who was raised in Dublin, California, and got his start in politics as a city council member, was first elected to the House of Representatives in 2012. So today, we went to his district to see how voters are reacting. Our first stop, a small bookstore in downtown Pleasanton, and it's a place Swalwell knows well.
Why not? Who doesn't want to be in a bookstore?
Judy Wheeler, the owner, told us that the congressman has sat down in her store for interviews before. She calls him approachable, visible, and someone who understands this community.
An interesting race. Politics are always interesting. And but when I heard it, I went, I know him.
We also met a man who's lived in the Tri-Valley for more than 10 years. But he told us it wasn't until recently that he became aware of Swalwell.
The ability to stand up and speak out. And I think that's definitely, Swalwell has done that. He has that characteristic. And that's definitely something that Newsom has had and has impressed me. I really, until he started taking Trump on, I really wasn't paying much attention to him.
Targeting the Trump administration is a familiar theme among the field of Democrats running. But Cal State East Bay professor Nolan Higdon says Swalwell's late entry into the race could put him at a disadvantage.
And there's already a lot of money in the race, and a lot of donors have already started to back candidates. So I think Swalwell has a uphill battle with that because fundraising is key, especially for Governor of California race.
Higdon says while Swalwell's national profile may help, it also comes with baggage. Swalwell has faced scrutiny over the years, including for a report that he was targeted by a suspected Chinese operative named Christian Fang, a volunteer for his campaign. A story that followed him through a 2-year House ethics investigation that ended with no further action.
I think this is an example of how being a national politician, the House of Representatives, can work against you. Others may be able to create a new brand for themselves because they're not as well known, so they might have a better opportunity, but it really remains to be seen who's going to pick up that message, that brand, and those policies that resonate with voters.
But inside his district, the voters we spoke with say they'll be watching closely as one of their own makes a run for the state's top job. For Judy, the door of her bookstore will always be open, and it might just be the host of some big interviews down the line.
Everybody's welcome.
Swalwell's district covers parts of the East Bay, including Pleasanton, Dublin, Livermore, Hayward, Fremont, and Union City. Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area on this Sunday, we'll meet a San Francisco man who says a tiny home community helped him completely turn his life around.
As soon as that comes through, my life will be pretty much perfect.
A look at how something small can make a big difference. Plus, a budget crisis for Oakland public schools forcing some tough decisions. We'll talk to families about how the district's financial woes will impact their children's learning.
Pretty frustrating, I think, for many Oakland parents that there hasn't been stronger and more proactive leadership.
Yes, it's a gloomy start to the day, but I still think you should make today a Sunday fun day because there's no rain in the forecast. Yes, grab a jacket. Temperatures will be in the low 60s to upper 50s. but enjoy a little bit of sunshine. There will be a few more passing clouds out there over the next several days, and temperatures are going to be staying at or below average, at least through the rest of the week of weather ahead of us. Little to no changes when it comes to our 7-day forecast. There might be just a little bit more cloud coverage, maybe a little bit more active weather at the end of our 7-day, maybe by next weekend. But for your Thanksgiving week, if you have any plans, if you want to get out and about, you should be good to go. Enjoy some sunshine. Travel plans, again, not going to be ruined by the weather for this Thanksgiving week.
A new report this week found nearly 3 in 10 Bay Area residents are having trouble covering the cost of basic needs. According to the nonprofit Tipping Point, more than 1.8 million are struggling to make ends meet. The report also found that half of those people are already working full-time. But one small housing project in San Francisco is showing what is possible when people have stability and support, from job training to health services. Lauren Toms introduces us to a man who credits the community for helping him kick his drug habits and finding a path towards permanent success.
I had a really bad problem with drugs for a long time. I was mixing heroin, fentanyl, crystal meth, and cocaine together and shooting it. And like 20 times a day. It was like ridiculous.
For most of his life, Bryce Sterling had been stuck in a cycle of addiction and homelessness, a story playing out across the Bay Area every day. But here at San Francisco's tiny home community on 33 Goff, he says something finally changed.
I've been able to save up almost $2,000 since I've stopped using drugs. Do my doctor's office, I got one of the ladies there, I told them I wanted to go to work, and they all thought I was crazy. They're like, dude, you're not ready. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm there.
Bryce has lived here since May of last year, inside one of the 70 private cabins operated by Urban Alchemy. And he's not alone in his comeback. The group says 128 people who once lived here have now moved on to permanent housing, a number Supervisor Matt Dorsey, who oversees much of SOMA in the Tenderloin, calls a success.
I think this is something that we need to look at as a cost-effective solution. It may not be the cheapest solution, but it's certainly not the most expensive. And if it's true, and it seems to be so far, that this is something that is really doing what we want supportive housing to be doing, helping people get up on their own feet and find success elsewhere, that's great. That's exactly what we should be doing as a city.
It cost about $32,000 per cabin annually to run the community. That cost more than a congregate shelter, but far less than building a new permanent structure. Dorsey says that makes it a smart stopgap in a city desperate for housing options. 33 Goff is one of several tiny home communities on leased land that would otherwise sit empty as developers wait on permits and financing. And because the cabins are modular, the entire village can be picked up and rebuilt somewhere else, carrying its community with it.
At any given time in San Francisco, there are projects that we're just waiting for the financing to pencil out so that the thing can get going. Until then, we've got land that's usable, that's convenient, that we could be using for a good purpose. And certainly when we're seeing the success that 33 Goff has offered, that's a good use of that land.
Success for Bryce looks like joining the 128 former residents who now have a place to call home.
As soon as that comes through, my life will be pretty much perfect.
And for the first time in his life, he says he can see that future.
The San Francisco Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing said in a statement that 33 Goff and 2 other sites, quote, play an important role in contributing to the diversity of the city's shelter interventions. A new report shows California's budget problems are worse than some expected. The Legislative Analyst's Office says California faces an $18 billion shortfall next year. That's $5 billion more than the estimate in June, and it could balloon to $35 billion by the following year. The report blamed the deficit on higher than expected spending and federal cuts, raising state costs for Medi-Cal and CalFresh. Governor Gavin Newsom is expected to present his final budget proposal in January. State Republicans reacted to the report. Assembly Republican leader Heath Flora says this is the result of Newsom's own choices. He refuses to take responsibility and is leaving California taxpayers to pay the price. It is a completely self-inflicted failure. To the East Bay now, Oakland Unified School District is weighing how to tackle its budget crisis. They heard several different options this week, including layoffs. District leaders say they are steering clear of any school closures or mergers, however. The goal is to slash $100 million from the budget for the fall semester of next school year. It's about 10% of the total budget. Suji Nam spoke to families and school leaders about how we got here and what the difficult decisions look like ahead.
Yeah.
As a mother of two boys, Kim Ayers believes in quality education.
I'm a product of public schools myself. I believe deeply in the importance of a public school education.
She's been living in Oakland for the past 10 years and wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Culture, the history, there's just really no place like it.
Which is why Ayers enrolled her older son in TK at Laurel Elementary School. But she's been noticing some challenges.
Central office is, already struggling to communicate with parents, to communicate with families. My son experiences 80, 90-degree temperatures in his classroom because there's no AC.
She's even more concerned after the Oakland Unified School District announced that in order to meet its budget reserve requirements for the next academic year, they'll need to make cuts of $100 million.
We're going to be doing everything we can to continue our mission, which is to educate students.
Oakland Unified Superintendent Dr. Denise Sadler took over the role ahead of the school year. Sadler says there are difficult decisions ahead, including possible reductions to administration roles, particularly in the district's central office, but reassures parents that they are steering clear of any school closures or mergers.
We have a deficit, and it just didn't come recently. It's something that's happened over time. And quite frankly, it's very challenging to finance schools and the specific needs of our students. And this is something that we work diligently.
Kimi Keene, CEO of nonprofit Families in Action for Quality Education, is demanding more transparency from the district.
It's pretty frustrating, I think, for many Oakland parents that there hasn't been stronger and more proactive leadership on really saying, what can we do to get ahead of this, and how do we ensure, really build the district?
And while the future remains uncertain, Ayers hopes that Oakland leaders will take this time to prioritize educators.
We can make sure that we're recruiting great teachers, that those teachers are getting the support that they need to create an incredible learning experience.
Pushing for that incredible learning experience so that her children can grow up in a city that she has come to love.
Superintendent Sadler tells us the district hopes to have a final decision on the path forward by mid-December. Still ahead, it is a little-known part of Pacifica's history, a coastal rail line that helped put the city on the map.
You can see the train went right by the front of the building.
The effort underway to restore a piece of an historic railroad that's over 100 years old.
Happy Sunday. We're looking at a lot of fog to start off our day, which is why I had to show you one of my favorite things, a time lapse. This is on top of Mount Diablo, where you definitely saw that thick fog filling in our valley communities. A beautiful sunrise to kick off our morning, and that fog is going to be quickly clearing throughout the afternoon hours. So yes, you probably had to give yourself extra time early this morning, but again, the afternoon, you should be good to go if you have any outdoor plans. There is going to be some upper level cloud coverage, but low level cloud coverage and fog, other than maybe a little bit along our coastal communities, you should be good. And speaking of the coast, make sure you are aware there are some beach hazards still out there, anywhere from 13 to 18-foot waves as a northwesterly swell is moving over the bay. That is bringing high chances for sneaker waves along with elevated rip currents. So please be safe, be careful if you plan on heading to the beach today. But I don't discourage you from doing it. Just stay farther away from the water than you normally would, just to be safe about it. I'll break down the details on how long these relatively quiet conditions are going to stick around for, other than along the coast, coming up in my full forecast.
New efforts to restore a historic rail line. Its roots go back more than 100 years along the peninsula. Kara St. Cyr takes us to Pacifica with more on the big boost in funding for this restoration project.
The Pacifica coast was once roaring with the bustle of train engines. The city was just a small village then, built along the train tracks of the Ocean Shore Railroad.
here is the Little Brown Church where we are right now, and you can see the train went right by the front of the building.
Kathleen Manning, a board member of the Pacifica Historical Society, says the city owes its life to that train.
But the Ocean Shore Railroad was created to go from San Francisco to Santa Cruz. As a result, they actually created the little towns that became Pacifica.
Pacifica was formed alongside the shore. The 1906 earthquake and the automobile would ultimately stop the train in its tracks. Ocean Shore Railroad would become a memory by 1920.
And that was the end.
One that Pacifica would easily forget.
This is after we brought it down to Pacifica and they had started.
But one rail car is changing that.
You can kind of see from some of these pictures what a wreck it was.
The Historical Society found an original rail car back in 1995.
See, it's over there under that big tent.
It's been their mission to restore it to its former glory, but that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That would be great.
Manning says the group is finally one step closer. The San Mateo County Board of Supervisors agreed to give $20,000 in funding for the restoration. It didn't pass without criticism. Some residents posted online about how the funding was mishandled.
It's an educational resource. It's something that helps everyone learn.
Sue Beckmeyer, the city's mayor, sees things differently.
The group will take on the renovation of the building to bring it, to restore it, and to bring it as a resource for the entire community in San Mateo County.
There we go.
The $20,000 will only take restoration so far. Kathleen says the rail car still needs a full set of windows, a platform to rest on, and other costs she estimates could reach over $100,000 in repairs.
People actually commuted from San Francisco down to Pacifica or down the coast sitting in this very car.
The funding is a start, a means to preserve Pacifica's untold history, and a chance to breathe life back into the city.
Oh, look, you can see, here's one of the
Still no
windows.
word on when the restored rail car will be ready for visitors. Well, it is already set to be a big year for sports in the South Bay. Now, concerts will soon be coming to San Jose's PayPal Park. The city recently approved a proposal that will allow the venue to host up to 15 concerts per year. The terms allow the concerts between 9 in the morning and 11 at night. City leaders say this could increase sales and revenue for nearby businesses. It comes as Santa Clara County is already gearing up for Super Bowl 60, the men's Final Four, and the FIFA World Cup. Still ahead in our next half hour on CBS News Bay Area, a 7-figure settlement for a company accused of driving up rent prices across the country. The controversial program at the center of the lawsuit and what this case means for Bay Area renters. Plus, we'll look at what's driving up used car prices and take you to a North Bay dealership that's really feeling the squeeze.
It's slim pickings. It's not the same anymore. The inventory is not there.
Your community, your news, powered by KPIX. CBS News Bay Area. Watch anywhere, anytime. Stay informed and connected. Trusted local news when you want it. CBS News Bay Area. Watch free on any device. You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Max Darrow. Here is another look at our news headlines. The Highway Patrol is searching for a driver who hit and killed a cyclist in Petaluma. First responders found the victim dead at about 9:30 on Saturday morning at Rainsville Road and near Stony Point Road. That's just west of Highway 101. Investigators are not sure if the crash happened on Friday night or early on Saturday, but they do say that the evidence points to a hit and run. Traffic is moving once again on northbound 101 near San Bruno after a multi-car crash shut it down for about an hour last night. The CHP says 4 vehicles collided just south of the 380 interchange around 6 p.m. Saturday evening. That's right near SFO. Crews rushed 3 adults and a toddler to the hospital. All lanes have since reopened and traffic is flowing as it typically does. The 49ers take on the Carolina Panthers tomorrow night. So this will be the first time that running back Christian McCaffrey will face off against his former team. He was traded by the Panthers to the 49ers in 2022. San Francisco has beaten Carolina in their previous 2 matchups. They'll look to extend their streak. The game will be at Levi's Stadium at 5:15 p.m. Now let's get another check of our first alert forecast with meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
Happy Sunday. I would call it a Sunday fun day because you should be able to get out and about without having to worry about too many weather issues. After some thick, dense fog from early this morning, that fog quickly clearing by the afternoon hours. There is a frontal boundary, a very weak frontal boundary, albeit, but it's still something that's going to bring upper level cloud coverage across the Bay Area throughout the afternoon hours. So yes, there is going to be some passing clouds out there once the fog lifts. But overall, temperatures are only going to be maybe a degree or two cooler today compared to what we felt yesterday. Those highs going from the upper 60s across our North Bay to low 60s to upper 50s across our North Bay, coastal communities, and inland East Bay. So yes, it is definitely going to be chillier out there. And it's really interesting to notice that area in blue farther inland, that is where the fog is going to take a little bit longer to dissipate. And by tomorrow, you'll also notice those high temperatures, inland areas with that thicker fog are going to be significantly cooler. So it's really interesting, again, the impact of the fog on those temperatures, keeping inland areas slightly cooler, but still going to stay in the low 60s through tomorrow, then the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Basically, every single day of this upcoming week, we're going to be seeing these temperatures sitting in the mid to lower 60s to upper 50s all across the Bay Area. Not too many changes on the way when it comes to those temperatures, and not too many changes on the way when it comes to the chance of rain. There's little to nothing over at least the next 6 to 10 days. Just something to keep your eyes on. If you've been enjoying the rain, there's not all too much more heading our way. It's been well above average, though, to kick off the month of November. Over 2.5 inches in downtown San Francisco. That is nearly an inch above normal for this time of year. Now, this is San Jose, where you've seen over 2 inches. That puts you over an inch above normal and your 7th rainiest November so far on record. So yes, it has been a very active and a wet start to the month. At the end of the month, it's likely going to be a lot drier and a bit cooler. Those highs, like I've been saying, going to be staying at or below average for at least the next 7 days. So if you have any outdoor plans for this Thanksgiving, just grab a jacket, but you don't have to grab that umbrella, which is really, really nice. Again, for this time of year, Thanksgiving is when a lot of people are out and about, whether you're flying, you're driving. Weather shouldn't be an issue unless you're leaving very early in the morning, because as we've been dealing with the past several days, the Thule fog and the marine layer that's swirling in, we are still going to be seeing that waking up. That should lift. You'll be seeing some passing clouds out there. Those temperatures staying seasonable through the midweek. Again, really, really nice weather. I really don't think we can ask for much better for this time of year. I hope you can all get out and enjoy yourselves before, I'm sure, our next atmospheric river is just around the corner.
A major win for California renters. The largest landlord in the country, Greystar, reached a settlement for using controversial price-setting programs. They were forced to pay $7 million. Greystar had been sued by 9 states, including California. This is all a part of a larger antitrust lawsuit against a company called RealPage, which created the software. Prosecutors say RealPage's algorithm illegally drove up the cost of housing. Berkeley is one of the cities in the process of banning the software. Amanda Harry spoke with a housing advocate about what this settlement means for tenants.
America's largest landlord, Greystar, is facing consequences after the real estate giant was accused of colluding to increase rent prices.
It's absolutely important that we hold landlords accountable for this type of action.
Matthew Lewis is a renter himself, but also the secretary of the Berkeley Tenants Union. Greystar has 6 apartment complexes in Berkeley. When Lewis looked for his apartment, he says he stayed away from companies like Greystar. A multi-state antitrust lawsuit claims the company was illegally using algorithmic software sold by RealPage to share proprietary data to align prices with other property managers and push up rents.
I had to do a lot of work to find this, and it would have been much more difficult if all the landlords were using companies like RealPage to basically jack up their rents, because then it's going to be higher and higher and higher.
Last spring, the Berkeley City Council tried banning rent-setting algorithms, but then voted to push back the ban because RealPage filed a federal lawsuit against the city. arguing the ban violates its First Amendment rights. This week, Attorney General Rob Bonta announced a $7 million settlement with Greystar.
Even more important than that $7 million settlement is the commitment that Greystar is no longer going to be engaging in these market rigging processes.
Antitrust lawyer Lee Hepner says as part of the settlement, Greystar has agreed to stop using the software.
The effect of rent-fixing algorithms is to allow competing landlords to act as one. They mix their data behind the scenes, they align their pricing strategies, and they take the recommendations of an entity like RealPage to inflate rents and to eliminate competition from the market. And it really is that competition that we rely on to drive rents down.
Hepner says it resulted in tenants paying inflated rents for years. Greystar owns about 950,000 rental units nationwide. Lewis wants to see leaders do more to prevent this from happening again.
There needs to be much larger consequences, which is why it's so important for states and cities and also the federal government to pass laws explicitly banning this practice and making sure that there are significant penalties for these violations.
Greystar responded to the settlement saying, quote, "We're pleased this matter is resolved and remain focused on serving our residents and clients."
Berkeley's ban on rent pricing algorithms is slated to take effect next month. A number of other cities, including San Francisco, have also banned the software. If you're thinking about selling your car, it may be a good time to make a deal and sign it away. Data from Carfax shows average used car prices have climbed to their highest point in 18 months. Kenny Choi takes a closer look at what is driving the prices and what it means for anybody looking to buy or sell.
Increasing inventory continues to be a challenge for some used car dealerships.
Normally, at any given time, we'll have about all of these cars, these spots we filled, we'll have a row of cars here. The garage packed.
Omid Khalili has been selling cars for 17 years and says the numbers aren't where they should be. His coworker Don Davis is in his 47th year.
Every car sale is unique.
Thank you for calling Redwood Credit Union.
They both say inventory at Marin Motors in Santa Fe is relatively low.
It's slim pickings. It's not the same anymore. The inventory is not there.
The latest data from Carfax shows that average used car prices have climbed to their highest point in 18 months to just under $25,000. That means shoppers are paying around $1,300 more for the average used vehicle than they would have just a year and a half ago. Brian Moody is executive editor at Kelley Blue Book Auto Trader.
The San Francisco, Oakland, San Jose area at those prices being about 4.5% higher than the rest of similar sized cities across the country.
The ripple effects of reduced new car sales during the pandemic mean there are fewer used cars available today, according to Carfax. That means it could be a good time to sell, especially if you have an extra car.
Any dealership would be happy to take a car that someone's looking to sell, bring it to a dealership first.
Industry experts say typically a 3-year-old car loses about 40% of its value. Analysts at Carfax say the price gap between new and used cars right now is unusually narrow for some models, and that buying new could be the better option. Khalili and Davis just sold this 2019 Mercedes-Benz.
I think it's great. Hopefully it fits me well.
However the numbers fluctuate, they say they're focused on making their customers feel whole when leaving the lot.
If you're not having fun, you're not enjoying it, and the people that are selling you the car aren't feeling like they're with you, don't spend your hard-earned money there.
They've been in the used car business long enough to navigate the ups and downs of the market.
Industry insiders say don't assume used means cheaper right now. If a new car's price is too close to the older model, consider the value of fewer miles, newer features, full factory warranties, interest rates, and lower maintenance costs. Coming up next, children with special needs getting the experience of a lifetime. We'll meet the real-life cowboy who's been giving back to the Tri-Valley for more than 3 decades.
Everybody wants to be a cowboy, cowgirl at some point in time in their lives. This is the way that we can make that dream come true.
Plus, a first-of-its-kind green hospital in California.
We're always on. So how do we lessen our impact on the environment was a real challenge.
How this all-electric hospital is now paving the way for other medical facilities just like it, including right here at home in the Bay Area.
Yes, it's a gloomy start to the day, but I still think you should make today a Sunday fun day because there's no rain in the forecast. Yes, grab a jacket. Temperatures will be in the low 60s to upper 50s. But enjoy a little bit of sunshine. There will be a few more passing clouds out there over the next several days, and temperatures are going to be staying at or below average, at least through the rest of the week of weather ahead of us. Little to no changes when it comes to our 7-day forecast. There might be just a little bit more cloud coverage, maybe a little bit more active weather at the end of our 7-day, maybe by next weekend. But for your Thanksgiving week, if you have any plans, if you want to get out and about, you should be good to go. Enjoy some sunshine. Travel plans, again, not going to be ruined by the weather for this Thanksgiving week.
It is a decades-old rodeo tradition in the East Bay, a day of fun just for kids with special needs and their families, all led by a man with a big heart. 1 in 6 American children live with developmental challenges, according to the CDC. And so Donnie Perry wrangles his family and community together in Livermore to try to make a difference for people here at home in the Bay Area. Sharon Chin introduces us to this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award winner.
Children race around barrels with stick horses and pretend to rope steer. The thrills of the rodeo, courtesy of Donnie Perry and his volunteers.
I'm smiling.
When you see the smiles on their faces, that's what makes the whole thing worth it.
I ran the horse.
Donnie and his team lead the activities for children with special needs as part of a weekend camp hosted by the Exceptional Needs Network in Livermore. Participants get a taste of the signature event that Donnie organizes each year called the Lil Partners Rodeo. 40 children aged 5 to 17 with developmental challenges take part in a free all-day mini rodeo that's designed just for them. With the help of more than 100 volunteers, the children ride horses, meet rodeo queens, and feel like a cowboy or cowgirl for a day. It's so meaningful, Donnie can barely lasso in his emotions.
It's hard to find things that they can do and do safely and have fun. Everybody wants to be a cowboy, cowgirl at some point in time in their lives. This is the way that we can make that dream come true. In the bags, they have the coloring books.
Donnie took the helm of Lil Partners 32 years ago. It's sponsored by the nonprofit Livermore Rodeo Foundation in partnership with the Livermore Stockmen's Rodeo Association. Association President Sarah Eads Kendrow tips her hat to Donnie and his dedication.
It's in his heart. It's something he just is driven to do. And we're just so lucky to have him.
Planning the children's rodeo is no small undertaking. Donnie's own family volunteers, including his 28-year-old son Joshua with Down syndrome.
I was doing this 5 years before my son was born. So it's just something that's always been close to me. And we figured when our son was born, God looked down one day and said, you know what? Here's a family that loves taking care of people like this. We're going to give him to them.
At the weekend camp, participants like Torin Wallace get roped into trying new things.
Probably because I've never done it before, and now when I did, it felt good.
And Laura Peters with the Exceptional Needs Network says it feels good watching kids create heartwarming memories.
They just feel like they belong and aren't being judged, looked at differently. They're just being themselves. That's all we ever want.
And Donnie has helped other rodeos stage similar events so more children can ride the magic of Lil Partners.
I think them all as my own kid. I think them all as mine. I got 40 extra kids that day, and I want to make everything's perfect for all of them.
So for bringing joy to children with developmental challenges through Lil Partners rodeo events, this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award goes to Donnie Perry.
The next Lil Partners Rodeo is happening in June at the Livermore Rodeo. You can nominate a community hero for a CBS News Bay Area Icon Award at kpix.com/icon. In today's Project Earth, California is known for many firsts. Now the state is leading the way with a first-of-its-kind hospital in the United States. Michelle Gilley takes us inside UC Irvine's all-electric new acute care medical center.
History is being made as UCI Health gets ready to open the nation's first ever all-electric acute care hospital. The power will come from renewable sources like solar and wind.
It comes from our colleagues at Edison and through the electrical grid. So the use of clean power to power this instead of other fossil fuels like natural gas and other things that you would see in a lot of other hospital campuses.
The hospital is part of a new $1.3 billion medical campus in Irvine. Patients will soon be able to access 24-hour care. The 7-story hospital holds 144 beds.
This is a huge plaza space, as you can see behind us, but it's actually the roof of the operating rooms and the entire procedural area. So it's one level below us.
Some of the electricity used is generated on site. There are solar panels on the roofs.
We've done so much in sustainability across the University of California system, but it's hard in healthcare. This is a 24/7 operation. We don't even have a lock on the front door. We're always on. So how do we lessen our impact on the environment was a real challenge that we set out from the earliest days of design.
UCI Health President and CEO Chad Lefteris says the facility must have fossil fuels to power diesel generators at the hospital for life safety backup, which is for backup emergency power if ever needed. The new hospital, which is close to the UC Irvine campus and the 405 freeway, will open on December 10th.
As for the Bay Area, UCSF has 2 major all-electric hospitals in the works, one in San Francisco, the other in Oakland. And in Redwood City, Stanford Healthcare is constructing an all-electric medical building and clinic. And you can see it from Highway 101. Kaiser is building a new all-electric hospital in San Jose. Coming up, a man and his dog were swept from a homeless encampment in the South Bay, and then they were separated after a medical emergency.
Leo, where's Leo? And they thought it was a family member or something.
The touching reunion and the local volunteers that helped make it happen when we come back.
Happy Sunday. We're looking at a lot of fog to start off our day, which is why I had to show you one of my favorite things, a time lapse. This is on top of Mount Diablo, where you definitely saw that thick fog filling in our valley communities. A beautiful sunrise to kick off our morning, and that fog is going to be quickly clearing throughout the afternoon hours. So yes, you probably had to give yourself extra time early this morning, but again, the afternoon, you should be good to go if you have any outdoor plans. There is going to be some upper level cloud coverage, but low level cloud coverage and fog, other than maybe a little bit along our coastal communities, you should be good. And speaking of the coast, make sure you are aware there are some beach hazards still out there, anywhere from 13 to 18 foot waves as a northwesterly swell is moving over the bay. That is bringing high chances for sneaker waves along with elevated rip currents. So please be safe, be careful if you plan on heading to the beach today. But I don't discourage you from doing it. Just stay farther away from the water than you normally would, just to be safe about it. I'll break down the details on how long these relatively quiet conditions are going to stick around for, other than along the coast, coming up in my full forecast.
A man in San Jose and his dog were separated for several weeks after a medical emergency left him hospitalized. His pet was nearly put up for adoption. This all happened after they were swept from a homeless encampment in the South Bay. Len Ramirez shows us how 2 local organizations were instrumental in bringing this pair back together.
Smiles and wagging tails at the Humane Society of Silicon Valley, all because Carlos and his dog Leo are finally back together.
Yeah, it's good to see you again.
They came to say thank you to the people who made this reunion possible.
He's doing good, healthier.
Just a few weeks ago, things looked very different. Carlos and Leo were among dozens of people swept from the encampment at Columbus Park in San Jose as the city cleared the area and moved residents into housing. Carlos was living there for several months and was driving to keep an appointment for interim housing when he suffered a serious medical emergency behind the wheel and blacked out.
They told me that I was saying a lot of times his name. Leo, where's Leo? And they thought it was a family member or something. But then me talking unconscious, my dog Puppy and Spanish and English, they understood what was going on.
But he didn't know where his best friend had gone. Animal control had him, and Leo was taken to the shelter, then transferred to the Humane Society.
I don't know, maybe he was adopted already, or he passed away.
or something.
You're such a good doggy. Oh.
That's when Home First stepped in. The housing nonprofit learned long ago the importance of keeping clients and their four-legged family members together. 80% of the people coming off the streets have pets, higher than the general population.
He didn't know where his dog was, and so the case manager came to me and we started looking at the Humane Society, making phone calls, trying to find his dog, because someone's animal helps with your mental health as well. Especially Carlos had his dog for over 6 years and was attached to his dog.
But Leo had health issues too, an infection and 2 bad teeth that had to be removed. That's when a medical staff member recognized Leo from attending a previous outreach clinic for unsheltered pets and realized this wasn't just any stray.
If we hadn't had that kind of knowledge and understanding and that proximity to Carlos and Leo and understanding who they were and who the dog was, yes, we might have very well just kind of continued him through the process on through adoption, which would have been super hard to reverse for all the reasons people understand. But we didn't. We connected the dots.
The reunion finally happened here at Carlos's new interim housing community. And now Carlos and Leo have their own room.
A tu lado, Papa. But yeah, this is our room.
Leo's got his favorite toys and Carlos has peace of mind.
Both Carlos and Leo are ready for a new start. Carlos is looking for work and he hopes to move into permanent housing soon. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Max Darrow. We'll be right back with your First Alert forecast and today's top stories.